Hey gamers, roguelike is a video game genre that hates you but in a fun way. You enter a procedural, ever-changing dungeon, get showered with random weapons and power-ups, make a stupid mistake, die, lose everything, and get sent straight back to step 1. No hand-holding, no checkpoints, just pure, punishing trial and error, where the only permanent thing you carry over is your own skill. So in this video, I'm going to tell you the best roguelike games that everyone must play. Without further ado, let's get started. Starting with Nuclear Throne, this game doesn't care about your feelings, your fragile ego, or how good you think your aim is. This pixelated bullet hell nightmare drops you straight into a post-apocalyptic wasteland full of hyper-aggressive mutants, flies, and sniper snitches who want nothing more than to erase your existence in 3 seconds flat. The movement is crackhead fast, the screen shake will break your monitor, and the weapons go from a pathetic pop gun to nuclear rocket launchers that end up blowing you up along with the boss. Every single run is a chaotic, adrenaline-fueled panic attack where you're dodging thousands of projectiles on half a heart while screaming at your keyboard. It's brutal, ugly, completely unfair at times, and undeniably one of the most addictive twin-stick shooters ever slapped together. If you haven't looped this masterpiece yet, fix your life and go play it. Ember Knights is what happens when you take the crisp combat of Hades and force you to share the screen with 3 idiot friends who hoard all the healing. It's an insanely smooth isometric beat-em-up where you chain elemental spells, dash through swarms, and pretend you're working as a team until a power-up drops, and it becomes every man for himself. The combat feels punchy as hell, the synergies let you break the game in hilarious ways, and the boss fights will test if your group actually has coordination or just shared brain damage. Sure, you can play it solo, but where's the fun in that when you can accidentally launch a giant fireball at your buddy and blame it on lag, grab 3 fools and get ready to yell? Before we go into the list, I want to say thank you to Astral Lords for sponsoring this video. Astral Lords is a sci-fi survival roguelite game that combines 2 genres you don't usually see together. Yup, intense bullet hell combat and large-scale base building strategy. And now is actually a great time to jump in, because the game just received a pretty big content update. The biggest addition is the brand new Challenge Stage S1-1, where you'll fight through multiple subzones packed with stronger enemy waves before taking on 4 new bosses. The further you push, the more intense it gets, so having a solid build really starts to matter. Another feature I really like is the new squad command system. With a single click, you can switch your squad between follow and defend, making it much easier to control your team during hectic fights or when you need to protect your base. The update also adds 14 brand new weapons, giving you a lot more freedom to experiment with different loadouts and playstyles to try. One of the biggest quality of life improvements is the home base overhaul. Building structures no longer costs resources, which means progression feels much faster, and you can spend more time focusing on combat and expanding your defenses instead of grinding materials. And if you like customizing your character, this update also brings 8 new outfits and 12 new headpieces so you can give your operative a fresh look while taking down alien armies. Astral Lords is available now on Steam, and it's currently a solo experience with online co-op planned for Q3 2026. What amazing! So what are you waiting for? Go check out Astral Lord by clicking my link in the description and experience this action RTS roguelike that blown your mind. Alright then, let's get back to the list. Most roguelites give you a lone edgelord protagonist with 0 family ties, but Children of Morta hands you an entire dysfunctional family of monster slayers and makes you feel guilty when one gets bruised. You've got Uncle John tanking hits, Linda sniping from across the room, and little Kevin running around backstabbing corruption beasts like a miniature menace. The pixel art and lighting are absurdly gorgeous, but don't get distracted by the eye candy. The gameplay will stomp you flat if you don't learn how to switch characters and leverage their shared perks. What makes it stick is how it weaves genuine, heartfelt story, beats into the hub world every single time you die. You'll get your teeth kicked in by a boss, respawn back home, watch a cozy family dinner scene, and immediately jump back into the meat grinder with a grin. if you ever wanted to beat the actual crap out of the zodiac signs in a gorgeous 2D anime style. Astral Ascent is your personal paradise. The visual polish and animation work here are stupidly slick, making every dash, spellcast, and air combo look like a high-budget anime climax. You pick one of 4 distinct characters, build a deck of elemental spells, and slice through 12 brutal zodiac bosses who hit like freight trains. The magic here is the spell customization. You can splice gambits onto your attacks to trigger poison explosions, lightning strikes, or heal on hit bullshit that turns you into an unkillable god. The platforming is floaty in the best way possible, and the boss fights demand Twitch reactions and zero hesitation. It's fast, flashy, and deeply satisfying once your build finally clicks together. Realm of Ink is basically what happens when Hades goes to an art school in ancient China and comes back with ink-splattered swords and a pet fox. You play as an assassin trying to break out of a fictional book world, slicing through gorgeous watercolor landscapes while wielding terrifying elemental ink gems. The combo system flows like butter, letting you cancel attacks, swap weapons mid-fight, and summon spirit pets to turn screen-cluttering mobs into red mist. It's got that signature high-octane isometric combat where one bad dash leaves you eating a screen-wide AoE attack from a dragon. Sure, the visual effects can get so chaotic that you occasionally lose track of your character, but melting elite enemies with a god-tier poison fire synergy feels way too good to care. If Dead Cells and Mega Man had an illegitimate metalhead child, it would look like Oblivion Override. You play as Crimson, a psychotic combat robot tearing through underground facility levels filled with killer machinery and aggressive AI. The movement in this game is disgusting. Air dashes, wall runs, double jumps, and execution moves that let you slice across rooms without ever touching the floor. With over 24 ridiculous weapons, ranging from giant mechanical hammers to laser whips, the combat variety is absurd. The game encourages you to play like an absolute maniac, rewarding aggressive parries and relentless pressure over hiding behind cover. It's fast, heavy, brutally punishing, and built for anybody who thinks standard 2D action games are moving in slow motion. Before we continue to the video, I want to give you a recommendation to buying games in this modern era, and that's it, ENEBA. ENEBA is a digital marketplace made for gamers with over 40,000 products available. You can find PC games, PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo titles, gift cards, in-game currency, and a lot more all in one place. What makes it really worth checking out is the pricing. A lot of the deals are cheaper compared to official stores, and there are cashback offers too, which helps you save even more. What I also like is they support a lot of different payment methods, so you've got flexibility depending on what you usually use. They also offer secure payments and 24/7 customer support, which makes the whole experience feel a lot more polished and trustworthy when you're buying games. If you like getting great games at better prices or just want more value for your money, ENEBA is honestly one of the best places to check before buying anything. So if you're a smart guy, then you already know exactly what to do. All you have to do is click my link in the description below, search for your favorite games, and redeem the game code you already paid for. And by using my link, you'll not just get awesome deals, but also help me support this channel. Alright then, let's get back to the list. Wizard of Legend throws out the boring concept of squishy wizards hiding behind tanks and turns you into an aggressive martial arts spellcaster on bath salts. You build a deck of 4 elemental arcana out of over 100 options and dive into a fast-paced trial where standing still for half a second guarantees instant death. Dash canceling spell animations, combining a fire kick with an ice vortex, and unleashing a screen-clearing signature spell feels ridiculously rewarding when pulled off cleanly. The pixel art is crisp, the boss fights against the elemental counselors will make you throw your controller across the room, and the local co-op is pure, unadulterated friendly fire mayhem. It's pure muscle memory, zero hand-holding, and an absolute mandatory play for anyone who loves high-speed combat. Ubisoft actually cooked here by handing the Prince of Persia IP to the dev team behind Dead Cells, and the result is magnificent parkour violence. The movement is the real star, you're wall running across backgrounds, vaulting over Hun warriors, kicking enemies off ledges into spikes, and stringing together acrobatic kills seamlessly. The tapestry-inspired art style gives it a distinct look, and the snappy platforming makes traversing rooms feel as satisfying as slicing up bosses. You forge amulet synergies that turn your vaults into poison clouds or gold-generating backstabs that make your damage skyrocket. It captures that classic Prince of Persia agility while slapping on a addictive roguelite loop that keeps you saying, just one more run until the sun comes up.
If it looks good, it shoots better.
Take Vampire Survivors, slap a dwarf with an acute mining addiction on it, throw in millions of angry alien bugs, and you get Deep Rock Galactic Survivor. You step onto planet Hoxes all alone, auto-firing guns at endless swarms of glyphids while desperately digging through solid rock walls just to craft a tiny escape tunnel. The genius here is that the terrain is fully destructible, meaning you spend half your time mining precious ores and the other half panicking, digging for your life, and trying not to get cornered like an idiot. You'll upgrade your guns, drop supply pods directly onto boss alien heads, and constantly scream rock and stone while your health bar melts in seconds. It's brain-dead, hyper-addictive, top-down dwarf violence, and you're going to love every single second of it. If you enjoy pain, stamina management, and getting stomped by terrifying Aztec gods, welcome home! This game takes the slick isometric action of Hades, strips away the horny gods, and replaces them with pure, dark, unforgiving malice. Light is your best friend here. Step into the dark and you take way more damage. But half the time you accidentally destroy the torches yourself like an idiot. Plus, every time you move to a new room, your corruption meter fills up, slapping you with bizarre curses that completely ruin your carefully planned build. It's precise, brutal, and demands perfect parry timing. Miss a beat and you're just paced on the temple floor. Taking the roguelite formula into a gritty, sci-fi FPS perspective. This game is absolute chaotic high-octane violence. You're dropped onto derelict spaceships packed with aggressive biomechanical monstrosities, and your only job is to blast them into scrap metal. The gunplay feels punchy, and combining elemental affixes, like turning a basic shotgun into a void-spewing room clearer, feels ridiculously broken in the best way possible. Play it solo if you want to test your reflexes, or bring 3 friends so you can all scream in unison when a massive boss corners you in a tight corridor. It's fast, slick, and turns your brain straight into adrenaline mode. What if Super Smash Bros. And Hades had a baby, and that baby had a violent streak? That's Spiritfall. Instead of traditional hack and slash, you are literally pulling off aerial juggles, wall-splatting enemies, and bouncing divine monsters off the floor like a high-level fighting game pro. The movement feels ridiculously crisp, and picking up elemental blessings from ancient spirits lets you customize your combat kit into a combo-heavy nightmare for your foes. If you've ever wanted to perform a 15-hit combo on a giant golem and slam him into the ceiling, this is your fix. It's flashy, insanely satisfying, and will destroy your button-mashing thumb. Arthurian legend, but Arthur went completely nuts, and you have to go beat up the Knights of the Round Table with your pals. Styled with a gorgeous hand-drawn comic art style heavily inspired by Hellboy, Sworn is a co-op hack and slash that lets you swear fealty to Fey Lords for wild elemental powers. Want to burn everything down with Titania's flames or zoom across the room with Oberon's wind blessings? Go for it! The combat is tight, the co-op scaling actually forces you and your squad to coordinate, and getting your butt handed to you by a corrupted Sir Lancelot never felt so stylish. Bring friends or prepare to get bullied alone. Housemarque took a massive budget, added third-person bullet hell mechanics, and dropped you on a terrifying alien planet that hates your very existence. Selene is stuck in a psychological death loop, and every time you die, which will be often, the biome shifts, and you start from square one. The combat is lightning fast, requiring you to dodge hundreds of glowing energy balls while firing bizarre alien weapons. It's punishing dark and utterly glorious. The PS5 haptics and raw audio design make every laser beam and jump feel terrifyingly real. If you haven't played this, clean your keyboard or controller, prep your reflexes, and get ready for a masterpiece of absolute punishment. Look, if Housemarque made Returnal look like a light warm-up, Saros is here to slap you across the face and demand respect. You play as Arjun, sprinting through the alien wasteland of Carcosa under a terrifying eclipse. The entire loop centers around absorbing incoming projectile chaos with your shield and firing back using Carcosan power weapons. Housemarque's signature bullet hell spectacle is dialed to 11, except this time death isn't a total reset. You actually get permanent suit upgrades, so your next corpse lasts 10 seconds longer. The movement is absurdly slick. The particle effects will fry your retinas in the best way possible, and the boss encounters force you to enter a literal Zen state just to survive. If you thought dodging a wall of glowing blue lasers was hard before, Saros will make you question every life decision that brought you here. Risk of Rain 2 takes the classic concept of what if we just spawn 5,000 enemies on screen and turns it into pure, unfiltered dopamine. The timer in the top corner isn't just for show, it's actively plotting your execution. The longer you take scrounging for chests, the harder the world scales until you're getting sniped across the map by giant jellyfish. But then you collect 20 stacks of soldier's syringe, a couple of ukuleles, and suddenly your mercenary or commando transforms into a walking genocide machine that crashes your frame rate. You will die because an overloaded magma worm spawned directly inside your colon while you were grabbing a red item. You'll curse, kick your desk, and immediately hit ready for another run because that feeling of breaking the scaling math is an addiction you can't cure. Gunfire Reborn is basically Borderlands on crack, wrapped in a goofy furry aesthetic that hides an absolute meat grinder of an FPS roguelite. You pick an anthropomorphic hero, whether it's a crown-wearing cat throwing poison grenades or a dual-wielding dog spraying fire, and proceed to clean out rooms full of aggressive bandits and elemental bosses. The gun procedural customization here is ridiculously broken. You can pair elemental inscriptions to freeze and vaporize entire rooms before your co-op teammates even spot an enemy. Sure, you'll get obliterated by a random sniper beetle from 3 miles away on Nightmare difficulty, but that's just part of the tax. The gunplay feels crisp as hell, the scrolls let you stack stupidly fast movement speeds, and running this 4-player co-op with your friends will devolve into screaming matches over who gets the scroll upgrade. If you think most 2D action roguelites lack mechanical depth, Blazblue Entropy effects will humble your button-mashing ass within 5 minutes. This game extracts the hyper-fluid frame-cancel combat of legendary fighting games and injects it straight into a side-scrolling gauntlet. Playing as characters like Ragna or Hakumen feels ridiculously satisfying because your combos aren't just canned animations. You are actively canceling special attacks into elemental tactics and air dashes. Passing down inherited tactics from previous runs creates some of the most absurd elemental synergies seen in the genre. You can turn a simple sword slash into a screen-clearing storm of fire and thunder. You will get completely wiped out by high-tier bosses because you missed a single parry timing, but when you pull off a flawless aerial combo, you'll feel like an absolute god of war. Dead Cells, the ultimate one-more-run simulator that has been ruining sleep schedules for years. You play as a headless mass of goo piloting a corpse, slashing through a sprawling, disease-corrupted island where every mistake costs you everything. The combat flow in this game is so fast and punchy that walking slowly literally feels illegal. Whether you're running a heavy survival build with giant scythes or a glass cannon brutality build with rapid-fire bows, the execution feels razor-sharp. But let's be real, activating those higher boss cell difficulties is pure masochism. The game stops giving you health refills, spawns elite enemies around every corner, and laughs as you panic roll off a cliff into spikes. It's brutal, unfair, ridiculously responsive, and undeniably one of the absolute greatest action games ever crafted. From the sadistic masterminds behind Curse of the Dead Gods, Ravenswatch takes dark fairy tale legends and twists them into a co-op action roguelike nightmare. You're playing as corrupted folk heroes like a Little Red Riding Hood who turns into a giant ravenous werewolf, or a Pied Piper summoning hordes of explosive rats. The top-down isometric combat rewards tight skill rotations and split-second dodging, especially since night and day cycles drastically shift your abilities mid-run. The boss fights do not care about your feelings. They throw bullet hell overlaps, massive AoE red zones, and tight enrage timers right at your team's face. You will fail runs because someone pulled the map boss too early, but when your squad coordinates ultimate abilities and deletes a nightmare monstrosity in 5 seconds, nothing feels better. It's dark, punishing, and immensely rewarding. Shape of Dreams takes MOBA-style control and skill-shot combat, mixes it with top-down roguelite progression, and throws you into an utterly bizarre surrealist realm. If you've ever played League or Dota and wished you could fight bosses instead of toxic teammates, this is your jam. The absolute standout feature here is the dynamic skill-swapping system. You aren't locked into standard character archetypes. You can literally rip abilities off different archetypes to forge hybrid monstrosities like slapping crowd control spells onto a high-mobility assassin build. Whether you play solo or run 4-player co-op, dodging swarms of projectiles while executing precise skill shots keeps your adrenaline pumping constantly. You will misclick your movement, walk straight into a boss's one-shot beam and cry, but constructing a custom skill synergy that melts the entire screen keeps you crawling back every time. From Software actually looked at Elden Ring and said, what if we turn Limgrave into a shrinking battle royale roguelike map? And Elden Ring NIGHTREIGN was born. You pick from 8 distinct Nightfarer heroes, jump into a randomized version of Limveld with 2 buddies, and have 3 in-game days to hunt bosses, gather talismans, and level up before the big Night Lord obliterates you. The shrinking night tide zone forces you to keep moving, and if your team dies at night, the run is over instantly. It retains that signature brutal FromSoft combat where getting greedy with an extra swing gets you flattened by a giant bird. The chaos of snatching random weapons, adapting builds on the fly, and panic reviving teammates while dodging lightning makes this an absolute masterpiece of co-op survival insanity. If you thought beat-em-ups were dead, Absolum is here to shatter that stupid idea and slam dunk it right into the dirt. Born from the brilliant sadomasochistic minds at Dotemu and Guard Crush Games, this gorgeous hand-drawn brawler takes everything you love about arcade beat-em-ups and straps a dirty, addicting roguelite engine straight onto it. You're tossed into the brutal fantasy realm of Talamb, stringing together filthily fluid air combos, dodging screen-clearing spell storms, and switching up your playstyle on the fly as you collect absurd magical synergies. The hit stop and impact feedback are so heavy, you'll practically feel every bone-crunching strike right in your own knuckles. It's relentless, fast, dripping with style, and guarantees that every time you think you've mastered a room, a pack of elite monsters will happily line up to hand you your ass. The Binding of Isaac is the undisputed granddaddy of modern action roguelikes, and it remains a grotesque, brilliant masterpiece. You're literally controlling a naked, crying toddler, shooting tears at demons, mutated monstrosities, and his own terrifying mother inside a basement trap door. What makes Isaac timeless is its sheer unhinged item synergy pool. You could start a run shooting tiny, pathetic tears, and 3 floors later, you're firing giant homing laser beams that orbit the room and explode into poison clouds. The game never stops rewarding your curiosity with hidden rooms, devil deals, and dozens of unique unique playable characters like Forgotten or Lost. You will get ruined by bad RNG or accidentally pick up an item that ruins your entire build, but the sheer volume of content and game-breaking potential makes it immortal. Let's just roll Supergiant's masterpieces into one massive package, because both of these titles set the absolute gold standard for narrative-driven action roguelikes. Whether you're smashing through the underworld as Zagreus with flaming swords or weaving dark magic across realms as Melinoe, the combat here is buttery smooth, hyper-responsive, and endlessly satisfying. The Olympian gods act like a toxic, gossiping family that constantly hands you broken boons to experiment with, turning every escape attempt into a glorious spectacle of lightning strikes and splash damage. Combine that god-tier gameplay with god-tier art, legendary voice acting, and soundtrack tracks that slap harder than Hades' own Spear, and you get two games that defined an entire generation. If you haven't played these yet, honestly, what are you even doing with your life? Go download them immediately. And that's it for today. Those were lists the top 25 best roguelike games everyone must play. Got a hidden gem I didn't mention? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video or discovered a new title to add to your collection, feel free to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you'll never miss future content. Once again, if you want to buy games with cheap price, the link in the description, okay? So, thank you for watching and see you in the next video.